Liam stood in the center of the repair bay, his hands slightly shaking as he checked the tools again and again. He had repaired ships, drones, engines, and even battlefield armor for senior commanders, but nothing prepared him for this moment. Today, he had been assigned to repair the battle armor of Princess Soraya, the most feared warrior of the Xalari Empire. Every human on the station whispered her name with both fear and respect. They said she never smiled, never trusted, and never let a human stand close to her. The repair bay lights flickered as the heavy doors opened, and every worker froze. Loud footsteps echoed like thunder as she entered, tall and radiant in her half-damaged armor. Her presence felt like pressure on Liam's chest, like the air itself was afraid of her. She walked with sharp, calm confidence, her face unreadable. Liam swallowed hard and bowed slightly, trying not to look directly into her eyes. He had seen holograms of her before, but in person her presence was far more intense. Her armor glowed with deep blue energy lines, cracked and unstable after the last battle. One wrong move and it could explode. Soraya stopped in front of him, her shadow falling over him like a mountain. She said nothing for several seconds, just watched him with strange golden eyes. Liam's heart hammered like a drum. "You are trembling, human," she finally said, her voice calm but sharp like a blade. "Are you afraid of me?" Liam tried to answer, but only managed a small breath. "Just nervous, princess." Her lips moved faintly, not quite a smile, but something close. She extended her arm toward him, and the broken armor plate sparked slightly. Liam stepped forward slowly, forcing his shaking hands to steady. He reached for the cracked energy plate on her shoulder. But as soon as his fingers touched the armor, the entire room seemed to shift. A faint hum of unstable energy vibrated between them. The blue lines flickered, and Soraya leaned closer instead of backing away. She moved so smoothly it felt like she floated. Liam's breath caught in his throat. No alien royalty had ever stepped so close to a human, especially during repairs. "Focus," she whispered, her voice softer now. "If you lose control, the energy will react to your fear." Liam nodded, trying to concentrate. He placed both hands on the energy stabilizer, but his fingers still trembled. The armor reacted, glowing brighter. Then something impossible happened. Soraya gently placed her hand over his, guiding his movements. Her touch was warm, not cold like he had imagined, and she pulled him a little closer, her face only inches from his. "Don't be afraid, human," she whispered, her voice soft enough to make his chest tighten. The whole repair bay went silent. Workers stared in shock. Officers exchanged confused glances. This was not normal, not allowed, not expected. No alien princess had ever touched a human like this. But Soraya did not care. She kept her hand on his, steadying his breath, guiding him. "Your hands shake because your mind shakes," she said quietly. "Calm your thoughts." Liam nodded again, focusing only on the energy field under his fingers. Slowly, his breathing steadied. The armor's blue lines softened, humming gently. Soraya watched him closely, studying his reactions like she was learning something important. Every time he hesitated, she leaned closer until he could feel her warm breath on his cheek. He wondered why she trusted him, why she stood this close, and why she chose him instead of any skilled alien engineer. But he didn't dare ask. Suddenly, the station shook violently. Alarms blared, red lights flashed across the bay. A loud voice echoed from the speakers. "Unknown transmission detected, possible hostile fleet approaching." The guards panicked, officers shouted orders, but Soraya stayed calm. She still had her hand on his, still guiding him through the stabilization. "This is why you must hurry," she whispered. "I need the armor ready before they arrive." Liam's heart raced again. He didn't know who they were, but he didn't want to find out. The armor crackled dangerously, sending a surge of energy through his hands. Liam winced, and Soraya instantly reacted. She stepped behind him, placing one hand gently on his back as if protecting him, pulling him even closer. "Steady," she whispered near his ear. "You are doing well." Liam's cheeks burned. He had never been this close to anyone, especially not an alien princess feared by entire armies. With one final adjustment, the armor plate clicked into place, glowing with stable energy. The dangerous sparks faded. Soraya exhaled softly, relief hidden behind her serious expression. She stepped around to face him again, still close, still watching him carefully. "You did not fail," she said, her voice calm and almost gentle. Most humans would have panicked. Liam looked up at her, surprised by her words. Before he could speak, another tremor shook the station, louder this time. Soraya's eyes narrowed, glowing with battle focus. She leaned close once more and whispered, "Stay near me, human." Then she added in a softer voice that made his pulse jump, "This is only the beginning." The alarms kept ringing across the station, but Liam's mind was still stuck on one thing. The princess's hand had been on his, guiding him, calming him, trusting him in a way no alien ever trusted a human. The other workers stared at him like he had stepped into forbidden territory. Some were shocked, others angry, and a few simply confused. No one understood why a royal warrior would stand so close to a human. Soraya did not look at anyone. She only looked at Liam, her golden eyes steady, as if she was studying something hidden beneath his fear. "Walk with me," she ordered softly, but her tone held no threat. Liam followed her out of the repair bay, feeling every pair of eyes burning into his back. The corridors were filled with flashing red lights, soldiers rushing past them, shouting orders as the enemy signal grew stronger. But Soraya walked calmly, as if she was ignoring the chaos. She kept her steps slow so Liam could stay close. Her presence guarded him like a protective shield. "You did well," she said without looking back. "Better than many of my own engineers." Liam almost tripped at her words. Praise from a Zalari princess was unheard of for a human. "Thank you, princess," he said quietly. She finally turned her head slightly, her voice gentle. "You may call me Soraya when we are alone." Liam froze, unsure if she was serious, but she continued walking, leaving him speechless. They entered a private chamber lit by blue crystal lamps. The door slid shut behind them with a soft hiss, blocking out the noise of the alarms. Inside the room, Soraya's armor glowed like a living creature, humming with new stability after the repair. But the princess herself looked different now, calmer, almost thoughtful. She removed her gloves and placed them on the table, then turned to face him directly. "Liam," she said softly, using his name for the first time, "you must understand something important." Liam stood straight, nervous again. "My armor was not damaged in a normal battle," she said, her eyes narrowing slightly. "It was sabotaged." Liam blinked, shock running through him like ice. "Sabot... by who?" he asked. Soraya stepped closer, lowering her voice as if someone might be listening. "I do not know, but the energy core was tampered with in a way only someone from my own empire could do." Liam felt his stomach twist. "If the core had failed while I was fighting, I would have died instantly. And so would everyone near me," she added calmly. Liam felt a wave of fear, not for himself, but for her, and strangely she noticed that too. "You should not care," she whispered, studying his face. "Yet you do." He had no answer. Soraya turned away, pacing slowly, her steps silent. "If I tell my council, they will accuse the humans." Liam looked up sharply. "But humans didn't do anything." "That does not matter," she said. "Politics do not care about truth." She stopped in front of him again, closer this time, close enough that he could feel the heat of her armor. "That is why I trusted you," she said, "not them." Liam swallowed, trying to understand. "You repaired the core with calm hands," she continued. "You did not run or panic." He looked down at his boots, trying to hide the blush rising on his face. Soraya tilted her head slightly, watching him with a strange expression. "You must continue repairing my armor," she said, "until the sabotage is undone completely." Liam nodded. "I will do my best." She stepped even closer, her voice low and warm. "I know," she whispered. "You already proved yourself." Liam felt his heart beat quicken again. He didn't know if it was fear, respect, or something else entirely. But before he could speak, the chamber lights flickered and a new alarm echoed, deeper and more urgent than before. "Hostile fleet approaching, distance closing." Soraya's eyes sharpened instantly, the gentle softness replaced by royal intensity. "We do not have much time," she said. "The enemy is after me." Liam looked confused. "After you? Why?" Soraya turned slowly to face him again, her voice almost a whisper. "Because the person who sabotaged my armor wants me gone, and they sent hunters to finish the task." Liam felt fear crawl up his spine. "And you want me to stay here?" he asked nervously. Soraya walked toward him with slow, controlled movements, stopping only when she was standing directly in front of him. She lifted her hand and rested it lightly on his shoulder, surprising him once again. Her touch was warm, almost comforting. "I want you near me," she said, her voice soft again, "because you are the only one I can trust right now." Liam's breath caught. He could barely process her words. "Princess, why me?" he whispered. Her eyes softened, glowing like molten gold under the crystal lights. "Because, Liam," she whispered, "when you touched my armor, it responded to you." He blinked, confused. "The core stabilizes only with emotional balance. My people cannot provide that balance, but you can." Liam felt his throat tighten. He never imagined a human like him could matter in such a way. Soraya leaned in just slightly, her voice softer than before. "You do not fear me," she whispered, "and that is rare." Liam didn't know what to say, but he didn't step back. Suddenly, the station shook violently again, louder than before. Lights flashed red, the room rattling with impact. Soraya grabbed his wrist, holding him firmly. "Stay with me, human," she said, her voice turning fierce and protective. "If they break through, I will not let them reach you." Her grip tightened as the sounds of distant explosions echoed through the station. Whatever was coming, it was coming for her, and now for him, and the princess had no intention of letting him go.
The explosions outside grew louder, the station shaking with every distant blast. Liam felt the vibrations through the floor, through the walls, even through his bones. But Soraya stood perfectly still, her hands still gripping his wrist, her golden eyes glowing with sharp focus. "Come," she said softly, though her voice carried the authority of a commander. "There is something you must see before the enemy reaches us." She opened a secure door behind the crystal-lit chamber, a door Liam had never noticed before. It slid open with a deep metallic hiss, revealing a hidden room filled with bright energy tubes and floating holograms. "This is my armor's core chamber," Soraya said, stepping inside gracefully. "No one except the royal line is allowed here." Liam hesitated at the doorway. "Then why are you letting me in?" Soraya turned to him slowly, her face calm, her voice lower than before. "Because the enemy already broke the rules," she whispered. "I now decide who I trust." Liam stepped in, unsure and nervous. The temperature in the room was warmer, almost like he had entered the heart of some living creature. The walls hummed softly, and the air vibrated with raw power. In the center floated a large crystal sphere with ancient markings, glowing with shifting blue light. It pulsed like a heartbeat, slow and powerful. What is that?" Liam asked quietly. Soraya walked closer to the sphere and placed her hand on it with care. The glow brightened in response. This is the royal ether core, the heart of my armor, and my lineage. Liam stared, confused. She turned to him again, her face calm, her voice lower than before. My armor is not just metal and shields, human, she said gently. It is connected to my life force. Liam's breath caught as pieces began to make sense. So if the core breaks, she finished calmly, I die. My armor and my body are linked. Liam felt cold fear run down his spine. The sabotage was meant to destroy this connection, she continued, her voice quieter. If the energy field destabilizes completely, I will be erased. Liam stepped forward without thinking. But why only me? Why can't your people fix this? Soraya held his gaze, her eyes soft now, not cold like before. Because they lack what you have, she whispered. Balance. Liam blinked, confused. Balance? Soraya nodded, slowly moving closer to him, her armor making a light sound as she moved. The ether core responds to emotional energy. If fear or rage touches it, the core becomes unstable. She raised her hand and lightly touched his chest, just above his heart, sending a warm shock through him. You repaired my armor with fear in your hands, she whispered, but your heart stayed calm. Liam felt his breath grow uneven, not from fear this time, but from the closeness. You reacted with honesty, not aggression, and that is something rare, even among my own people. The station shook violently again, dust falling from the ceiling, but Soraya didn't move. Her gaze stayed locked on Liam, studying every small shift in his expression. Then she walked to a console and activated a glowing hologram. It displayed the armor's inner structure, but something was wrong. A deep red fracture pulsed through the energy chamber, like a wound. This is where the sabotage happened, she said. A crack in the soul core plate. Liam stepped closer, scanning the readings. He wasn't a royal engineer, but he understood energy systems well enough. This crack wasn't caused by battle, he whispered. Someone did this by hand. Soraya nodded once, slowly. Someone with direct access to my personal chambers. Liam felt anger rise inside him. Why would someone want to kill you? She stood silent for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then she spoke softly. Because I refuse to be a puppet. I believe in peace, and there are those who want eternal war. Liam stared at her, surprised. You fight for peace? He whispered. Soraya turned her head slightly, almost shyly. I fight so others don't have to. But peace is not profitable for everyone. Liam understood far too well. Humans fought those battles too. Suddenly, the room flashed red, and a voice echoed. Enemy ships have breached the outer hull. Soraya breathed out slowly, her warrior mask returning, but her eyes softened when she looked at Liam. There is no time, she whispered. I must stabilize the core before they reach me. She stepped toward him again, lifting her armor plate slightly to expose the inner light of the ether core. The glow illuminated her face, making her look almost unreal. When Liam reached forward to assist, Soraya grabbed his wrist again, holding it gently but firmly. Do not think, she whispered. Just breathe. He nodded, swallowing hard. As Liam touched the glowing surface, he felt a pulse, not mechanical, but alive, like the armor was breathing, responding, waiting. Soraya stayed close, her body warm against his arm as she guided his hand. This part of the core is connected to my heartbeat, she whispered. It reacts to whoever touches it. The core flickered, then steadied, then flickered again. Someone implanted a disruption node, Liam said. If I remove it wrong, it will trigger a collapse. Soraya leaned close enough that her forehead nearly brushed his temple. You will remove it right, she whispered. I trust you. He swallowed again, feeling her breath on his neck. With careful movements, he reached deeper into the energy chamber, his fingertips brushing a small metallic shard. The moment he touched it, the core surged violently. Soraya quickly wrapped her arm around his back to steady him, pulling him against her armor. "Easy," she whispered. "Stay with me." He tightened his grip, the energy burning his palm, but he held on to the shard. "I've got it," he said through clenched teeth. He pulled. The shard slid free, and the entire chamber exploded with bright blue light, engulfing both of them. When the glow faded, Liam found himself still held tightly in Soraya's arms, her breath warm on his cheek, her eyes soft with something he had never seen before. "You saved me again," she whispered. "Human, you do not know how rare you are." Before Liam could answer, another explosion rocked the station, louder than ever. "They're here," she whispered, her voice turning deadly calm. "And now that the core is stable, I can fight." She stepped forward, her armor glowing with renewed power, her eyes fierce, her stance strong. But before she left the chamber, she looked back at Liam, her voice soft again. "Stay close to me," she whispered. "You are part of this now."
The station continued to shake as enemy forces pushed deeper inside. Lights flickered, alarms screamed, and soldiers ran through the corridors with fear in their eyes. But inside the core chamber, Liam felt something even stronger than fear. The warmth of Soraya's trust still wrapped around him like an invisible shield. Soraya stepped toward the exit, her armor glowing brighter now that the core was stabilized. Every movement she made felt powerful, controlled, graceful, the kind of grace only a royal warrior could have. Liam watched her silently, amazed by how quickly she shifted from gentle to deadly. But before she opened the door, she looked back, her eyes softer. "You will stay behind me," she said. "If they reach you, I will not forgive myself." Liam nodded, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. When the door opened, a wave of smoke and heat rushed in. The corridor was damaged, walls cracked, sparks raining down like falling stars. Soldiers ran past them, but each one slowed when they noticed Soraya. Some bowed their heads, others stared in disbelief that a human walked beside her. Soraya ignored them all. Her focus stayed on Liam. She kept him close, one hand hovering near his arm as if she was ready to pull him into safety at any second. They reached a lift that shook as it descended. Liam held the railing while Soraya stood without touching anything, her balance perfect even as the lift swayed. "You are unusually calm," she said, watching him carefully. "I'm trying," Liam replied with a shaky breath. Something like a small smile touched her lips, the first real one he had ever seen. "You try," she said softly. "That is more valuable than you know." Liam felt his heartbeat speed up again, not from fear this time. The lift stopped at the lower levels where the air smelled of burning metal. Enemy drones had already made their way inside. Their red eyes glowed in the smoke, scanning for targets. Soraya stepped in front of Liam instantly, her armor lighting up with a ripple of blue energy. The drones detected her and opened fire. Bright plasma bolts flew through the corridor. Soraya moved like lightning. Her armor absorbed the first shots, and she dashed forward, striking a drone with her gauntlet and tearing it apart with incredible strength. Sparks exploded across the floor. Two more drones appeared, aiming for Liam. He froze, panic rising, but Soraya spun around with a sharp motion, blocking both blasts with her armored shoulder. She slammed her blade into the drones, destroying them in seconds. Breathing heavy, Liam watched her, stunned. You saved me," he whispered. She turned to him, her chest rising and falling with each breath. "I told you," she said softly. "You stay near me." Her voice held something more than command now, something protective, something emotional. But there was no time to pause. They moved deeper into the station, turning into another corridor where the lights were broken and flickering. The place felt abandoned, silent, except for the distant echoes of battle. Liam shivered. Why is this area so empty? Soraya stopped walking, listening carefully. Her eyes narrowed. "Because someone cleared it," she whispered. "Someone who knew we would come this way." Liam felt a chill crawl down his spine. "They're hunting you." Soraya looked at him, her voice low. "Us."
Before he could ask what she meant, she suddenly stepped closer, her face only inches from his. Her eyes searched his, as if she was trying to understand something very important. "You fear for me," she said softly. "Why?" Liam felt heat rise in his face. Because I don't want anything to happen to you." Soraya looked surprised for the first time since she met her. A quiet breath escaped her, her golden eyes softening. "Most fear me, not for me," she whispered. Liam looked down, unsure what to say. She lifted his chin gently with 2 fingers, forcing his eyes back to hers. The warmth of her touch made him freeze. "You are different, Liam," she whispered, "and I do not understand why I trust you so quickly." He swallowed hard, unable to speak. She let her hand fall, but didn't step away. If anything, she stood even closer. Her voice calm but filled with meaning. "If I survive this night," she whispered, "it will be because of you." Liam felt the words strike straight into his chest. But a sudden metallic roar echoed down the corridor, cutting the moment sharply. A huge enemy mech emerged from the smoke, its glowing red sensors locking onto them. Soraya placed her hand on Liam's chest, gently pushing him behind her. "Stay back," she said quietly. "This one is mine." The mech charged, its heavy footsteps shaking the ground. Soraya rushed forward to meet it, blue energy bursting from her armor like waves of light. The battle was brutal. The mech swung its metal arm, nearly crushing her. She dodged with elegant speed, striking its joints, slicing wires and tearing through armored plating. But the mech was strong, very strong. It slammed her into a wall, sending dust flying. Liam shouted her name without thinking. Soraya rose again, wiping the dust from her face, her eyes blazing, her armor glowing fiercely. "You dare touch me in his presence?" she growled, her voice filled with fury Liam had never heard before. She attacked again, her strikes fast and deadly. Each hit shook the corridor until the mech finally collapsed, crashing to the ground with a loud metallic cry. Breathing heavy, Soraya turned to Liam. She walked toward him slowly, her armor still glowing. "Are you hurt?" she asked, her voice breathless but warm. "No," Liam said, unable to look away from her eyes. "But you—" She lifted her hand and touched his cheek gently, surprising him again. "Do not fear for me," she whispered. "I am stronger than I look." Liam felt his heartbeat jump again. He stepped even closer, their faces inches apart. "But I am not strong enough," she whispered, "to lose you." Before Liam could process her words, the loudest explosion yet blasted through the station, blowing out lights, shaking the walls, and sending smoke everywhere. Soraya pulled Liam into her arms, shielding him with her body. "They have breached the inner hall," she whispered into his ear. "The final attackers are coming." Then she looked into his eyes, her voice soft but full of fate. "Stay close to me, human. What happens next will change everything."
Smoke filled the inner hall as Soraya held Liam close. The heat from the explosions washed over them, dust falling from the ceiling like gray snow. The lights flickered weakly, barely able to cut through the thick air. But Soraya did not move. Her armor glowed with a steady blue light, and her arms wrapped protectively around Liam. Her heartbeat pulsed through the armor, strong and steady, almost calming. "Liam," she whispered, "listen to me." Her voice was soft but urgent, filled with meaning. "The final attackers are coming," she said, "and they are not drones or machines." Liam felt a cold shiver travel through him. Then, who are they? Soraya looked into his eyes, her gaze serious and almost painful. "My own people," she said quietly, "the ones who want the throne for themselves." Liam's breath caught. "They will stop at nothing to kill me," she continued. "And now that they know your connection to my armor, they will kill you too." Liam felt his throat tighten, fear rising again. But Soraya tightened her grip on his arms, pressing her forehead gently against his for a brief heartbeat. "But I will not let that happen. Not to you." He didn't understand why her voice trembled slightly, but he knew one thing. She meant every word. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed through the hall, sharp and synchronized. Shadows moved through the smoke, tall and armored. Their glowing symbols marked them as royal execution guards, elite warriors who answered only to the highest council. Soraya's face hardened, her golden eyes turning cold like steel. "They come from me," she whispered, "but they will find more than they expect." The guards stepped forward, forming a circle around them. Their leader pointed his blade at Soraya. "Princess Soraya," he announced, his voice cold, "you have violated royal law and must be executed." Soraya lifted her chin, unafraid. "I have violated nothing," she said. "It is you who betrayed the crown." The guard's gaze shifted to Liam, his voice sharp. "And the human must die first." Liam froze, his heart pounding in panic. But before the guards could move, Soraya stepped in front of him so quickly, it looked like she teleported. Her armor flared with bright blue energy. "You will not touch him," she said, her voice low and dangerous. The guards hesitated, only for a moment, then rushed in. The fight exploded like lightning. Soraya moved with unmatched speed, her strikes powerful enough to crack the floor. She blocked 3 blades at once, kicked one guard across the hall, and spun with fierce elegance, tearing through armor like paper. Liam could barely see her movements, only flashes of blue light and the sound of metal breaking. But more guards kept coming, shadows forming through the smoke. She was outnumbered, 10 to 1, yet she stood unbroken. One guard slipped behind her, lifting his blade toward her exposed side. "Soraya!" Liam shouted without thinking. She turned instantly, grabbing the guard's wrist and crushing the blade with her bare hand. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever. "No one hurts him. No one," she growled. She fought harder, faster, every move fueled not only by duty, but by something deeper. The guards began to fall, one by one, until only the commander remained. He stepped forward slowly, raising a large energy lance. Its glowing blade aimed straight at Liam. Soraya instantly leapt between them, but the commander had been waiting for that. He slammed the lance into the ground and activated a shockwave. The explosion threw both Soraya and Liam across the hall. Liam hit the wall, his vision blurring. He saw Soraya on one knee, struggling to rise. The blow had damaged her armor, the blue lights flickering weakly. The commander pointed the glowing lance at her heart. "Goodbye, princess," he said. Liam's breath caught. He couldn't move, he couldn't speak. But Soraya did. She whispered something softly, something meant only for him. "Liam, don't be afraid." And in the next moment, her armor pulsed with bright, blinding blue light that filled the entire hall. The ether core she carried, the core he had saved, activated fully. A wave of powerful energy burst outward, crashing into the commander and sending him flying across the hall like a rag doll. The shockwave shattered metal, cracked stone, and lifted the smoke like a rising storm. Soraya slowly stood, her armor glowing brighter than ever, powered by the stabilized core. She walked to Liam, her expression softening the second her eyes met his. She knelt beside him, cupping his face gently with her armor hand. "Are you hurt?" she whispered. He shook his head, breathless. "No, but you." She leaned closer, her voice warm. "You saved my life, Liam, and I saved yours." He looked into her golden eyes, confused but full of emotion. "Why?" he whispered. "Why do you care so much?" Soraya held his gaze, her voice quiet and full of truth. "Because when I pulled you close the first time, something inside me changed. You were not afraid of me. And for the first time in my life, I was not afraid of being close to someone." He felt heat rise in his chest, not fear, something else. Soraya smiled softly, her voice barely a breath. "Stay with me, human. Our story is only beginning." And for the first time since he arrived on the alien station,
He believed her.